let's talk about the key themes in China's address: support multilateralism, South-South solidarity, global reform. What do you see in that?
Well, what I see is China really trying to basically differentiate itself from the policies that the United States has been pursuing. So as the United States imposes tariffs on other countries and, in fact, does things in a unilateral manner, China's taking the opposite approach and saying that they want to cooperate with other countries. They want to give a greater and louder voice to the global South. And this empowering of other voices around the world is certainly catching the attention of other countries after many countries have just had to take the tariffs, the reciprocal tariffs that the United States has imposed on them. They're certainly drawing a big distinction between China and the United States.
And what potential impact will China's call for climate finance and development funding as part of its multinational positioning, as you just said, have on member states?
Well, I think that China obviously will have to spend a little bit more money in order to pursue its climate change agenda. But in the long run, it's actually a positive for many other countries, especially given the fact that the United States seems to be moving further and further away from having an interest in pursuing that goal. And China certainly has taken up the slack, and you could argue run away with it.
And Anthony, Beijing frames itself as a kind of bridge between developed economies and the global South. Do we actually see that, especially in economic terms?
We are starting to see that, because if you look at the amount of trade that's taking place between China and the global South, it certainly has been increasing as China has been diversifying away from a heavier or heavy dependence on U.S. trade. You can see that China is sending us less products to the United States. And now we are basically seeing that diversification sort of being extended to the global South countries. And in fact, you can see it even in agriculture as China has moved away from buying U.S. farm products and buying them from other countries like Argentina and Brazil.
And Anthony, do you think China's proposals will gain traction at the UN General Assembly, especially since they have a very strong accent on greater expenditure?
Well, we are going to see that that's a process. That's not going to happen overnight, but certainly China is trying to fill that void. The United States has criticized the United Nations as not being helpful, not being productive. And China is taking the opposite stance, as it has on many positions that the United States is taking, and hoping that in a world where the United States is de-emphasizing the importance of the United Nations, now all of a sudden China is basically celebrating the powers of the United Nations, saying that it can work with the United Nations, saying that other countries can. Again, an attempt to some extent, sidestep the United States. Some people could say isolate the United States. It's certainly diversifying towards other countries and away from the United States. It's pretty clear that that's what's going on.
And Anthony, how could China's signals on the BRI, right, the Belt and Road Initiative, the 2.0 version of the BRI with green finance and trade frameworks, how do you think they guide market strategies and their response from the rest of the world?
Well, I think that the new 2.0 BRI, or the Belt and Roads Initiative, is a little bit more realistic. It's certainly taking into account the needs of different countries. So it is probably going to be much more friendlier than the 1.0 version, and more realistic, more pragmatic. So I think moving forward, it is also going to be well received by a lot of other countries. And by the way, remember that with these BRI initiatives, what China is doing is allowing or encouraging many of these countries to all of a sudden be more easily integratable with other countries, so that they can participate in global trade and also get a bigger opportunity to service the Chinese market. So they're going to have access to other parts of the world, but also have more access to the Chinese market. And so many of these countries are certainly going to embrace the BRI 2.0.
And Anthony, if you were planning business in this context, where would you place your bets for the next version of the BRI and the future of international trade?
I think that the future of the BRI and certainly the goals of China is to really open up many of these markets and see that many of these markets will be able to trade with the global South and sort of de-emphasize too much trade or as much trade with the United States because of what's happened with tariffs. So I think the entire world is going to embrace this new move by China to integrate itself a lot more with these countries in order to avoid many of the tariffs that have been imposed on not only on China, but many of the global South countries. And so in order to operate more seamlessly and with less friction, they're going to gradually move away from the United States until the United States changes its tune. But for now, that seems to be the new trend.